Okay. Les, when did you, in your both personal and professional life, did you start considering that emotion is in fact a central element on human functioning?
Well, I came into psychology in 1970 and I had been an engineer. And I think, and psychology had hardly anything on emotion. I came in with an interest in the idea of tacit knowledge, really, of tacit knowledge. And my explorations there sort of led me to that we know more than we can say, and what is this knowing, and that somehow that became emotion was an important part of that knowing. So, but I think clearly I had an intuitive sense that emotions were important in my life. And that's what probably led me into psychology. So, but I think it would be in 1970 that I would say that's when I entered psychology. I started seeing that nobody talked about emotion. I thought emotion was really important. And William James had written this, that my experience is what I select to attend to. When I was in graduate school, I wrote a major paper with that as the title. And so I was really first following tacit knowing and experience and selective attention. But eventually it became clear to me that emotion was at the center of human experience. But it was definitely in graduate school.
In graduate school. You said we are wired to have emotions, and we are also wired to be afraid of emotions because emotion can be very painful. Emotion avoidance is a significant problem, as you know and right, that is in part resolved in a safe relationship, right? So I don't resist this question. How can feeling bad lead to feeling good?
Right, so I think that in order to change emotion, we have to first experience it. So you have to feel fear in order to change fear. You have to feel shame in order to change shame. So we really do have to arrive at it. And then we have to become aware of it and symbolize it, make sense of it. But then we need to change it. And as I have proposed, I think the best way to change emotion is with other emotions. So the point is that you have to feel bad in order to feel good, because you've got to get to the emotion in order to make it accessible to transformation or to new input. And you can't just get to it and then quickly move away from it. You actually have to accept it. I think that's the very first thing. But acceptance is not enough. You also need to change it. And that you need to bring in other things. But I mean, that's why I think feeling bad, or how feeling bad leads to feeling good. And I think in every emotion is embedded a need or a goal. I mean, emotions really are goals towards something, because we are, each emotion is designed to achieve some sort of aim that aided survival. And so to get to the need, you also have to go into the bad feeling and really illuminate what the need is.
Yes. So yesterday at your workshop, you have said that you don't see attachment styles in clients, that you see emotions and needs. Could we assume that you don't believe that attachment needs or styles have such a central role in our lives? And are there any clinical implications from this assumption?
Well, I think attachment needs are important. And I mean, they're certainly important in children, but what an attachment need is a very complex thing, and I'm arguing that emotion is more, an emotion regulation or the motivation to regulate your affect is more fundamental than is the attachment need. So attachment styles have never been that of great interest to me. I don't believe in trait theories and major characterizations of styles, because I think people are complex person, situation, interaction, organization.
Yes.
So it's just an oversimplification of the complexity that's really there. I mean, sometimes it acts as an organizing principle at a high level to say you're insecurely attached. But as I say, I'm securely attached, I'm insecurely attached, I'm dismissively attached, I'm anxiously attached. I mean, I'm different things at different times.
They're contained in different contexts.
So I think that, I mean, the implications for practice for me are that I think emotions are more concretely available, sort of visible, and therefore you can work with them. So I can work with that you're anxious, that you're sad, that you're angry, and I don't really need an idea that this is attachment as such, but I do believe people need people, and that we're highly interpersonal, and that there is a motivation to want to be connected. So I was introduced to object relations theory, in which the basic drive was to be related to others. I think that's slightly different than to be attached to others.
Okay.
So I would say I believe strongly in an interpersonal motivation, but still I think emotion is the most fundamental process in human nature.
Good. How do you see the future of EFT in the next years? What would you desire EFT to be in the next decades? Are there more therapeutic tasks to be mapped or validated? And for instance, EFT applied to children or EFT self-help books? How do you see these developments?
Well, you know, in the long future, I would hope that emotion was studied as a process as well as cognition, behavior, interaction, motivation, and so that EFT wouldn't really need to exist as EFT.
As EFT.
But I think the realistic context is that right now it does need to exist as it. And I think, one of the things I would really like to see is more tasks being identified and studied with task analysis. When I developed task analysis, I thought it was the best thing in the world, let's say. It's never really been picked up and used, and I still think it has very great potential as a way of truly studying what happens in psychotherapy. And qualitative analysis sort of became very popular. Task analysis includes some qualitative analysis, but I'm not that impressed with it as a way of really trying to study how people change. So I would like to see much more of that going on, but not to de-emphasize the importance of the empathic relationship. So there's always to carry those two.
Keep the balance.
I think the application of how to work with emotion with different populations is an important direction. Right now, there are different groups studying anxiety and different anxiety disorders. And then I'm also working more on developing a preventive program, emotional competence, emotional literacy training programs. But that's difficult because it's hard to psychoeducate in experiential domains when people really need to experience. I think its application to children and adolescents would be very good. We haven't developed that. So these are all future directions, but I think my hope is that more people will train in it and more people will get supervised by people who've been trained, so that there will be a proliferation of therapists that are working with emotion in an informed manner.
Good. Well, Leslie Greenberg, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful. Thanks much again.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you.